My little pony, my little pony. Hi, it's me, Gatsby, from Gatskin. And like a lot of people out there, my first exposure to the concept of fandom was through My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, back between seasons 1 and 2. I would continue to watch this show up until Slice of Life, the one with all the background ponies. After that, I kind of just stopped watching the show for whatever reason. But during that time in my youth, it was a life-changing experience for better and for worse. And sure, bronies may no longer dominate the internet like they used to, but the love for My Little Pony Friendship is Magic still lives on within the fans. One thing I've really come to appreciate as I've returned to My Little Pony FIM, watching the show again, looking at fan content again after all these years, is that even though the show has been over for almost sweet Celestia, 7 years almost at this point, is how many AUs people will come up with for the show. I'm pretty sure we can all remember how popular those Infection AUs were a few years back, or folks just retelling or redesigning their own versions of the show filtered through their own artistic lens. And I love that. I love that so much that I'm doing that here today in this video. You saw the thumbnail. And when I mean alternative universe, I really do mean alternative universe. You know, characters and events will have been greatly changed. But hey, that's what makes it fun, you know? And can I just say real quick, Lauren Faust worked literal magic when designing the main six, okay? When trying to design these characters that will be shown in this video, I felt like that one clip in The Incredibles with Mr. Incredibles and like all the heroes dying, the way I was like chunking out design after design left and right. You will see through this speed paint me just battling with my own indecisiveness over, you know, what details to keep, character names. It's a mess. A beautiful mess, maybe. Anyways, without further ado, let me present unto you my very own My Little Pony Friendship is Magic AU. Friendship is Gatskin. Friendship is Gatskin? Really? I didn't even write that down. That was improv. Well, right off the bat, one of the biggest changes I made in this iteration of My Little Pony was deciding that Celestia and Luna continue to rule over Equestria together. Thankfully, in this timeline, Celestia was able to make sure that her sister felt loved and appreciated for all her hard work. But that doesn't mean there's not a pony banished on the moon. Starcatcher is a shut-in Pegasus bookworm who has lived on the outskirts of Ponyville her whole life. And when her parents leave for another business trip, she's on her own again, taking comfort in one of her favorite things, books. And while reading a very old book, Starcatcher comes to a realization that the mirror in the moon is no myth, and is in fact Twilight, an evil unicorn sorceress that the two sisters, Princess Celestia and Princess Luna, had to banish to the moon using the elements of harmony. And according to the very same book, the stars will aid in her escape on the 1000th year on the first equal day, which is the spring equinox, which, sweet Celestia, is today. How is she gonna warn the princesses? This is a catastrophe. Surely they know that like every pony's lives are in danger. Wait, the main celebration. Every year they pick a town to go to for these things. This year it's Ponyville. She lives in Ponyville. And at this connecting of dots, Starcatcher flies out of her town on a mission to give warning to the princesses on what's to come. Already, I'm going down quite a different route. Twilight Sparkle. I changed her to a Pegasus named Starcatcher after the Generation 3 character. Her main thing is being the nerdy one. You know, loving books, loving knowledge, which does not make her very different from the Twilight we know and love. But I decided to make her a Pegasus because, you know, original Twilight Sparkle is a unicorn, And then Sunny, Star Scout, is an Earth pony, so I thought it'd be fun to complete a trifecta in that area. But yes, aside from, some subtle changes to her cutie mark, the colors, her general color palette, and adding a pair of glasses, she's still very similar to Twilight Sparkle. But from here, things really do continue to diverge from their source material as we get to the first pony Starcatcher comes across in Ponyville. So, while in a rush to find the princesses, Starcatcher ends up bumping into an Earth pony who was juggling torches while balancing on a ball. Thankfully, no pony got hurt physically, but Starcatcher wasn't properly able to apologize to the other pony because before she could get a word in to apologize, this Earth pony pointed at her, made a loud gasp, and ran away into the distance. May I now introduce to you all the second pony I'm drawing in today's video, Rainbow Flash. So fun fact, in Generation 3 of My Little Pony, Rainbow Dash was an Earth pony. Another fun fact, there was also a pony introduced in the same generation named Rainbow Flash. And I don't know about you, but when I think of the word flash, my first thought is a flashbang, and then a flash of light from a firework, and it was this train of thought that led me to this character design for Rainbow Flash. Basically, a fusion of Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash, where RF has Pinkie's love of parties and chaotic energy and wanting to make other ponies smile. But instead of, having the kind of the food focus, with her cupcakes and stuff, Rainbow Flash, she's into tricks or completing various dangerous stunts, very clown stunts pony. I could also see her running around just all over the place, still very high energy, both Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie. I added some white little circles to her face to kind of invoke clown imagery. One thing, though, I'm super proud of also with her design is getting her hair to kind of mimic her tail specifically to look like a fuse on a lit bomb, and then make her ponytails look like large explosions. I was very proud of that. I hope it reads as that, because that's what I was going for. And then for her cutie mark, I made it a large firework / birthday candle to show that her thing is excitement. She's very bright, very excitable. And I don't know why, but the thought came to me when, I was coming up with this character design is in my mind, I just don't see her talking a lot. She definitely is more of a pony of actions over words. So I guess that makes her a little bit mime-like on top of being a clown. After that strange encounter, Starcatcher is able to fly over to Ponyville's town hall, where the spring equinox celebration will be held. Starcatcher is about to make it inside the building to warn the princesses when she is stopped by a unicorn at the door. This is Clearshot, a low-ranking member of the Royal Guard, who has been stationed in Ponyville for a while now, and her current job is to keep a lockdown on Town Hall before it's open to the public. Clearshot is weary of Starcatcher's desire to see the princesses, but after Star is able to give her an honest explanation of why she needs to get in the building, Clearshot tells her what's up. For one thing, the princesses aren't even here yet. So if she's so desperate to tell them about her concerns, the next best bet would be the Equinox Celebration Overseer, who just left for the flower shop to check on the arrangements for the festival. And before Clearshot can give any more information to Starcatcher, she's off flying towards the flower shop. When I was showing work in progress pictures of the ponies as I was working on them, Clearshot was one that my friends were really interested in, which made me very happy because I really like what I came up with her design-wise. Obviously, her color palette I stole directly from Firefly from Generation 1, but her cutie mark, her name, that was all me, and I'm very proud of it because, as her name and cutie mark imply, is really good at making precise blasts of magic with her horn. She has goals of eventually becoming a part of the elite force in Equestria's Royal Guard. She's an honest, hard worker who loves adventure, but sometimes comes off as a bit naive due to her straightforwardness. She's also a bit of a flirt. You know, she could never lie to a pretty mare. Keep in mind that to clear shot, all mares are beautiful. I was definitely thinking of Disney characters like Captain Phoebus from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and then Hercules from Hercules when coming up with her character, if that gives you any idea on what she's like. Her cutie mark is just a bullseye mark with slight color variation to give it a little bit of a visual flair. And then I also added some piercings to her ears to show off that little bit of a rebellious side she has. Starlight is able to fly right into Ponyville's flower shop, which is actually surprisingly big, as it's not only Ponyville's favorite flower shop, they also sell various wares for all your farming and gardening needs. Shuffling past all the earth ponies who work there, all with equally fitting plant-based names, she finds herself in the back corner of the greenhouse area. No Equinox overseer in sight. She's frustrated, and then she sees a lone unicorn watering what looks like a dead plant, singing to herself as she does this. Starcatcher is confused by the sight of the unicorn, and when the unicorn realizes that someone's staring at her, she shyly introduces herself as Daisy Bells. Starcatcher asks the unicorn, like, hey, what are you doing? And Daisy explains that this little plant may look dead, but it's only on the brink of death, and she promised to nurse it back to health. Starcatcher stares at the plant for a bit before remembering she's on a mission to save all of Equestria, and asks Daisy if she's seen the celebration Equinox Overseer. Daisy points to the direction of the local diner, who is in charge of catering the event. So once again, Starcatcher flies off, and as she does, we see the dead plant sprout a single green leaf. The idea of Daisy Bells was inspired by some of the Generation 5 concept art that showed Fluttershy as a unicorn. I just think it's neat when a pony of one certain type does things not associated with their type, just as I made Starcatcher a Pegasus in this universe of mine that I'm making. Daisy is also a flip on what a unicorn typically does, because she, Daisy, as you can kind of infer, her thing is plants, and taking care of plants, and taking care of wildlife, and taking care of her family. Very family focused. But don't let her gentle nature fool you. When she makes a promise to do something or help someone, she does not stop until she gets the job done. And sometimes that stubbornness of her gets her into trouble. Her design is very simple. I just wanted her to look like a sweet, simple farm girl. I used yellow and white for her colors since those are the ones most associated with daisies, with pops of orange and green to make her just look more interesting. I hope you all like Daisy. I like Daisy a lot. Daisy, Daisy, however the song goes. I'm gonna go on to the next pony-o. Starlight thought the flower shop was crowded, but the dinner plate diner is even worse and full of loud customers going about. Some are locals enjoying their favorite restaurant. Most are tourists visiting for the Equinox celebration. In the midst of all this chaos is the only waitress on duty, a mint green Pegasus pony who effortlessly goes from table to table, dealing with all sorts of high-maintenance customers. While she sits on the diner's bar stool, Starcatcher can't help but think that the waitress has the patience of a saint. Soon enough, the lunch rush thins out, and Starcatcher starts to frantically look over at all the ponies, trying to see which one is the Equinox Overseer. When the waitress comes up and introduces herself as waitresses do, "Hi, welcome to Dinner Plate Diner. My name is Mint T with the space, not one word. I'll be your server today. Thank you so much for waiting. It's been slammed because of the Equinox." And Star awkwardly tells Mint T that she's only here to ask where the celebration overseer is. And Mint T sighs and says, "He just left back to town hall. You just missed him." And Starcatcher once again rushes her way towards town hall. Minty, oh Minty. Minty is definitely one of the most like iconic ponies from My Little Pony. I'm really shocked she didn't have a major role in Generation 4. Sure, she's always been there since Generation 1, but I feel like her Generation 3 design with the pink and green is just so iconic these days. So I really wanted to incorporate that here in this one. And I made her a Pegasus because the idea of like a waitress unfurling like her wings to like pick up plates and stuff, I thought it was a fun visual. And really her whole design for mint tea was inspired by just ideas that I thought were fun. Biggest thing was making her hair look like pieces of mint candy. That was really, oh, I was so happy to get to do that. There's a trope, I'm not exactly sure what to call it, but you know, in like movies and TV shows and stuff, you know, there will be a waitress at a diner and she's very like deadpan or apathetic, maybe a bit sarcastic. That's Mint Tea, and that's one reason why I made her name Mint Tea, because just the idea of her just being so detached and fed up with people getting her name wrong is just very funny to me. Mint Tea has had the dream ever since she was a filly to open up her own cafe where she could brew the finest of teas. But that cost money, so for now she works at the Dinner Plate Diner where she's underpaid and overworked, but she's just gotta keep at it to reach her goal. And once again, I was really inspired by Disney characters for her personality. Meg from Hercules, and also Tiana from Princess and the Frog. I don't know why Disney was so much on my mind while making these ponies. There's a conspiracy there somewhere. Looking at her compared to the rest of the group, she looks a bit older, but it's probably just the years of customer service weighing down on her little pony soul. At this point, Starcatcher is about to have a breakdown. She's so close, but so far from her goal. She's, you know, kind of pacing within some distance of the town hall on a opposite end of where, like, Clearshot is. And she's, like, starting to cry. She's, like, just so pent up and anxious. Because she wants to get back in the town hall, if that's where the celebration overseer is. But she's not going to be able to let in, because Clearshot's still probably not going to let her in. She's just that nervous. And, you know, she sits down, she's like sobbing, she's crying now because all of Equestria is doomed. And she gets a little tap on her shoulder and she turns her face around, her face that is covered with snot and tears. And she sees the most beautiful pony looking down at her with such great concern in her eyes. And this pony asks her, "Darling, what's the matter?" You know, helps her to stand up, gives her a tissue to blow her nose on. And, you know, Starcatcher, she blubbers about not being able to get into the town hall because of Clearshot and she needs to get in there, blah, 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 blah. And this beautiful pony, out of the kindness of her heart, she's able to calm her down, you know, soothe Starcatcher. It's like, darling, don't worry. I can take you into town hall. That Clearshot is such a nosy pony. I'll just say you're helping me with my, dance moves I'm performing at the spring equinox celebration. My name's Toola Roola, by the way. What's yours? And the two of them walk into town hall. So yes, this is Toola Roola. And she gave me so much trouble. She's definitely one of the characters I just kept going back and forth on what her name would be, what color palette she would use. It was an honest mess, but we got through it. I think it's pretty obvious that Toola Roola is the Rarity equivalent in this group. Though unlike Miss Rarity, Toola Roola is focused on dance and the performing arts, though she still very much has a great love of fashion, especially ribbons. She just loves how they curl and twirl, and her cutie mark is a symbol of how much she just loves the motion of spiraling, especially her physical expression of that love. It's why she loves to dance. The waltz, the salsa, even a conga line. She just loves movement. And I chose to give her the name Toola Roola because I just like how it sounds. I think it's pretty fitting. It's just one of those names where I can just feel it in my mouth, just making like curves, like Toola Roola, la 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 la. It's also very fitting for a pony who is on the fancier side of things. I know Generation 3 Toola Roola is known for her mane and tail being separate colors, but fun fact, her Generation 2 iteration did not have this. And in fact, her cutie mark is what I based off of. I based her cutie mark off of the Generation 3 of Toola Roola. That one's cutie mark. Out of all the ponies, though, she's probably the one I want to go back and readjust the most. But for now, I'm just enjoy what I have done so far with her design. So here we are. Starcatcher is ready to explain everything to the Equinox Celebration Overseer on why he needs to take her to see the princesses. And oh my goodness, he's a dragon. And not even an adult dragon. This is a baby dragon. And Mercury would tell you that he's not a baby. He's 10 years old, okay? He's pretty grown up. And you may be thinking, why on earth did the princesses hire a child to organize their Equinox celebration? Well, they didn't. Mercury is one of the royal messengers of the princesses. Kind of has a quasi mom-son dynamic with Princess Luna specifically, as when he first hatched, she was the one who named him. So the three of them, they're pretty close. So when the royal party planner got sick last minute, he was sent in to make sure everything would go smoothly for the celebration in Ponyville. Of course, since he is a child who wants to protect the princesses because they're basically his family, he's really down with what Starcatcher has to say about the two of them and all of Equestria being in danger. So he goes with her back to her house because Starcatcher was so dead set on telling the princesses what was going on, she forgot to bring the book proving her point. So the two of them go back to her house. And surprise! The weird pony that Starcatcher first met at the beginning of the video found out where she was. Rainbow Flash found out where she was and made a surprise party there because she thought Starcatcher had just moved to Ponyville and needed a welcoming party. And Starcatcher is mad. These ponies have turned her house upside down and she just sends every pony out, Shrek style. And now the house is a mess. And she has to spend all this time finding, the book she was looking for. And when she does find it, it's now time to go back to Town Hall because the actual Equinox is about to start. She's got to go see the princesses. So she and Mercury, they head back to, Town Hall. And the celebration starts. She's in the crowd with the other ponies. Everything seems fine and dandy. But Starcatcher notices something is off. She sees how the stars in the night sky seem to shine in a very strange way around the moon. She's very concerned. And when the curtain is drawn to introduce the princesses to their beloved subjects of Ponyville, it's not the princesses who appear. It's Twilight, the evil unicorn sorceress who's been freed from the moon. She holds the citizens hostage with magic, and somehow, some way, our main 6 ponies plus Mercury, they're able to avoid this and then eventually kind of fight and hold off Twilight until the princesses arrive and they're able to make her retreat. The 2 princesses thank our heroes, and Starcatcher is made a personal pupil of the princesses who are impressed with how she was not only to put the pieces together on the return of Twilight, but, her dedication to warn them and then protect the citizens of Ponyville when she did return. The one thing that can stop Twilight is the elements of harmony, but those were lost some time ago. And the princesses were late to the whole event because they made one last-ditch effort to try and find the elements before Twilight returned. And sadly, they couldn't find them in time. So now it's up to Starcatcher and her new group of friends to find the elements of harmony and fully defeat Twilight before the fall equinox, where she will gain her full power. And Mercury is assigned to stay with Starcatcher in Ponyville to send and receive reports of what is going on. So yeah, for this final piece here of this video, I wanted to draw all the 7 of the characters together. I was referencing the final scene in the 2nd episode of the show, but I couldn't get the composition exactly right, so I did resort to tracing the screenshot. So, P-Jack pose, I go up into the sky, for I have sinned. But yes, I think a major change to this MLP AU I have in my mind is that the quote-unquote first season of this show would just be, I guess, kind of the plot of the first 2-parter just expanded into one season. So, you have adventures where all the main characters, they go on adventures to find the elements of harmony, They learned friendship lessons along the way, mixed in with some slice of life episodes. I thought it'd be, fun to give, this group of ponies more time to grow together as friends as they use their magic friendship powers. As well as to give, time to ponder on mysteries like, what does Starcatcher's parents do as a living that they're always having to go out of town? What's the deal with Twilight? Why is she evil? Ooh, so many questions. And if you made it this far in the video, here's a special question for you. I never directly stated which element of harmony each of the main 6 represent. Obviously, Starcatcher's going to be magic, but as for the other ones, what do you think their elements are? You don't have to use the ones that the main 6 from the show used, or even use the ones Star Swirl and the Pillars used. I'm curious just to see what virtues you think these characters represent. And hey, which one of these characters would you vote best pony? And while you're down there, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It really helps. And if you want to see more of my art, consider following my Instagram or art account on Tumblr or my Blue Sky. I also have a webcomic called Liminal Lost and Found, which has a magical talking pony in it if you like ponies. It takes place in my own take of the backrooms called The Liminal. Many such adventures will be there. So if any of that interests you, check the links down below. Thank you for watching. This has been Gatsby from Gatskin, signing out.